The sweltering heat of a Memphis summer night in July 2024 clung to the air like a suffocating blanket when tragedy struck at a place as ordinary as a fried chicken drive-thru. It happened at a Church's Chicken in Orange Mound, a neighborhood that had seen its share of storms but never expected one to be born out of something so trivial. The victim was 48-year-old Anitra West, a hardworking mother whose life was defined by sweat, sacrifice, and love for her family. She wasn't a headline. She wasn't a statistic. She was a woman who had clocked in for a shift and never made it home. Across from her that night sat not fate, but fury, embodied in another woman who let pride swell larger than reason. Like a thundercloud ready to burst, she transformed a simple argument over food into a deadly vendetta. She drove away once, but like irony playing its cruelest trick, she circled back, her vehicle gliding through the night like a predator that had already tasted blood. And then came the gunshot, louder than thunder, sharper than betrayal, leaving Anitra collapsing onto the concrete where she had once stood proudly working. Police swarmed the scene within minutes, their sirens wailing like mournful cries across Memphis. What began as a petty quarrel ended as a homicide investigation, one that would grip the community and unravel the shocking truth that the killer wasn't a stranger lurking in the shadows, but someone far too familiar, someone whose rage turned a chicken order into a coffin. This is her story. The summer of 2024 was supposed to be ordinary in Memphis. The city, stitched together by its bluesy heartbeat and the mighty Mississippi, had been boasting a decline in violent crime. Headlines cheered, homicides falling, crime down 13%. Irony dripped from those statistics like honey on hot asphalt, because on the night of July 8th, the very promise of safety was shattered by a single gunshot. A sound sharper than a needle piercing silence. At the center of this storm was 48-year-old Anitra West, a mother, daughter, and hardworking employee at Church's Chicken on Park Avenue in Orange Mound. She wasn't a headline. She wasn't a statistic. She was simply trying to survive a late shift, wearing her apron like a suit of quiet dignity, clocking in not just for herself, but for the little girl who called her Mama. But fate, cruel and ironic as it so often is, had different plans. The tragedy began not with fists or knives or robbery, but with something absurdly trivial, a chicken order. A teal SUV rolled through the drive-thru, and behind the wheels sat a woman with a past and with a temper. What should have been an exchange of crispy drumsticks and cash turned into a storm of insults, like sparks threatening to set fire to dry grass. Witnesses recalled the heated words, sharp, cutting, unnecessary. Anitra, ever professional, tried to keep calm. Yet beneath her calm exterior, her chest rose and fell like waves crashing against rocks. A friend on the phone heard it all, every word of the threat that hissed through the night like a snake coiled to strike. I'll kill you. At first, it seemed the storm had passed. The SUV pulled away, tires screeching like claws against pavement. Anitra, shaken, stepped outside for air. Maybe she thought the worst was over. Maybe she told herself it was just another angry customer. But sometimes life is cruel enough to circle back. And circle back it did. The teal SUV reappeared like a ghost that refused to be banished. The driver didn't come for food. She came for blood. One shot cracked through the Memphis night, louder than thunder, more final than a slammed coffin lid. Anitra fell. A vibrant woman whose laughter once filled rooms was reduced to silence on the cold pavement. Coworkers screamed her name. A friend on the phone was left with nothing but the echo of that fatal sound. By the time paramedics hearsed her to Regional 1, the community already knew. Life, as they knew it, had changed. Within an hour, doctors pronounced her gone. Memphis lost a daughter. A 12-year-old lost a mother. All over chicken. To reduce her life to the way she died would be an injustice. Anitra was not a victim of chicken. She was a woman of grit and grace. Born in 1976, she carried Memphis in her bones. Her friends remembered her smile as radiant as a church hymn. She raised her daughter with a fierce tenderness, working long hours because every dollar meant security for the child she cherished. Her ex-husband, Lorenzo, still called her his high school sweetheart. They had been separated, yes, but their bond lingered like perfume on old letters. Days before her death, they had even spoken about rekindling their relationship, a twist in fate's cruel script. He wanted another chance. He wanted her back. But destiny snatched her before he could finish that sentence. Police arrived to chaos, screams, pointing fingers, a teal SUV racing into the night. Surveillance footage became their gospel. Frame by frame, the truth emerged. The suspect, Monica Williams, distinctive with purple hair, circling back like a hawk. Witnesses confirmed it. The friend on the phone confirmed it. The bullet casing confirmed it. Monica had not acted in the heat of the moment. She had left, and then she had returned. Premeditation wrapped in anger. But she didn't vanish into thin air. The irony? She was hiding in plain sight. Her SUV was parked outside her own home like a neon sign flashing guilt. For nearly a week, Memphis hunted for Monica. The city buzzed with fear and rage. Neighbors whispered, "How could this happen here?" Social media filled with Anitra's smiling photos, a cruel contrast to her violent end. And then, the twist no one saw coming. On July 15th, Monica walked into a precinct and surrendered. No dramatic takedown, no midnight chase. She simply gave herself up, as if the weight of her own actions had become too heavy to carry. Some wondered, was it guilt, pressure, or perhaps the realization that no amount of running could erase the sound of that gunshot? When Monica finally appeared in court, she shed a few tears, but to many, they looked hollow. Prosecutors laid out the evidence, the breaths, the witnesses, the footage. The irony cut deep. How a woman, once accused of stabbing in 2009, was now accused of pulling a trigger in 2024. The defense tried to question premeditation, but how do you question a woman who left, circled back, and fired? Orange Mound mourned loudly. At her funeral, the church overflowed. Flowers, hymns, tears, all for a woman whose light had been extinguished too soon. Her parents, her siblings, her daughter, all left shattered, clutching memories that now felt like shards of glass. Her father said, "She brought a smile into every room." Her daughter whispered, "I just want my mama." The irony of her death burned bitterly. Memphis had been celebrating fewer murders, and yet, in the middle of that celebration, Anitra's life was stolen in the most senseless way imaginable. Anitra's story is not about chicken. It's about anger untreated, grudges unburied, and a city grappling with violence that refuses to loosen its grip. It's about a hard-working woman who deserved to come home to her daughter, but instead became another name on a courtroom docket. The twist? Her killer wasn't a stranger in the shadows. She was someone the family knew, someone from the neighborhood. Proof that danger often comes wearing a familiar face. And the cruelest irony, while Anitra lived her life serving others, customers, co-workers, family, her death served as a brutal reminder of what happens when humanity forgets its value. Anitra West's memory will not be reduced to a dispute at a drive-thru. Her story is a cautionary tale, a mirror held up to a society that must learn pride and rage are never worth a life.